one of the biggest parts of getting into a home is making sure you have the right insurance policy.
Absolutely. And we got to make sure coming into hurricane season now on June 1st that we're properly covered for our homes and for our businesses. And we got to make sure that our policies include wind coverage. Many policies sold out there do not include wind coverage because it's such a huge portion of the premium. If you look at the breakdown of the premium here in Florida, I would say that at least 50% or more of the premium comes from wind coverage.
Wow.
And homeowners policies do not include flood coverage. And a lot of people don't know that. And then they find themselves after a storm with the situation of most of their damage came from a flood, and they have no coverage because they assume that their homeowners would cover it. So that is something that's very important that everybody needs to keep in mind.
Yeah, it's very important. When you think about that, it's kind of a shell game in some cases. You have the insurance companies on one hand saying, well, it was caused by wind, or no, it was caused by rising waters. Either way, as a homeowner, you need to understand what's in your policy. And I think a lot of misconceptions around the area of premiums and cost. They look at the premium, they shop the rate, and they say, oh, I want the lowest rate, but what's going to happen to the coverages?
Right. And many times when they're buying this insurance online, you don't really have anybody to explain to you what you're actually buying.
Right.
And people, just like you said, go with the lowest cost. When you're working with an insurance agent, they will go through the policy with you and give you all the information that you need and explain to you coverage by coverage what it is that you have, and that if you have the proper valuation for your home, that's another very important thing. Many times, as when you first purchase a home and you buy through a mortgage, your bank is going to require you to carry insurance for the full mortgage amount. But as you pay that mortgage off, your home may not necessarily be worth the amount that you paid for it. So we make sure that you have a proper valuation of that home and you're properly insured. And in the case of property inspectors, they are extremely important because the property inspector will go and look at your property right after you get a policy. And I had a client that had a very bad experience with a property inspector went in and looked at her home just because the paint was chipping off of her home. They raised her premium substantially.
Wow.
So there are a number of things that they look at when they evaluate your home after you have your policy, and the insurance company has the right to adjust that rate on your home.
Yeah, it's a challenge, and it's something where we talk about getting a review. I mean, how important is it to get an annual review and see what you actually have in your policy?
Absolutely important, because things may change. Situations may change. You may do additions to your home. A storm may have happened and you may have had damage. There's a number of different things that change throughout the year, and your needs may be different. So you may need different coverages or additional coverages, or you may be paying for something that you no longer have. So it's important to every year come to your agent and review your coverage.
Yeah. So if you just joined us, Eunice Halstead on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. Now, when it comes to the insurance side, it's a challenge, I think, because people it's another industry where there's so many of these TV commercials that are somewhat misleading, and if they got the big names, they're running these commercials. It's people want to call, and they're like a captive audience, and it's not necessarily going to be the best rate, payment, or coverages. Whereas someone comes to you, Eunice, you're able to shop their unique, specific criteria, almost like a broker would. Is that right?
Absolutely. And like you mentioned, with regards to commercials, there's some of these companies that have these commercials that advertise like the accident protection, or the loss protection, that if you have a loss, they won't increase your premium. What the consumer doesn't understand is that they're actually paying a premium on their policy to have that extra coverage. And basically you're paying for the loss that you haven't had,
right,
in case you have it,
right,
so that they will forgive you and not increase your premium if you do have a loss.
And so when you're looking through your policy, these are separate riders a lot of times, right? It's a different rider. So you'll have a sinkhole rider if you're in an area prone to sinkholes.
That's correct.
So can you talk us through that? Like, what do we need to look for in that scenario? Different types of riders.
Well, that's a good thing to discuss with your agent. I mean, insurance policies are very cumbersome to go through.
Right.
And other than a lawyer, the best person to talk to you about it would be an agent or somebody who's been in the insurance industry for a long time. I've been in the insurance industry since 1987. So I've read all my policies and I know quite a bit about this. So I can direct you in the correct way with regards to what you're paying or what coverage you're getting.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's super important to do that, and conveniently located. We actually work out of the same office.
Yeah.
We're over there with Michael Lysenko at 8325 West Hillsborough Avenue. So if you ever want to sit down with Eunice, get your policy reviewed, of course, the real estate company, we're there as well. We've got a nice office over there off of Hillsborough.
Yes, my phone number is 813-852-5691.
Yeah. So what's the website? Let's give the website too. It might be easier.
It's www.insuranceriskspecialist.com.
InsuranceRiskSpecialist.com, of course, and all the contact information is on our website at consumerqb.com.